run.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, I'm going to be looking at the newest film from Fede Álvarez, the demented mind that clutched our stomachs with 2013's Evil Dead and made us hold our breath in Don't Breathe, has come bounding over to the Alien franchise to terrify audiences worldwide with Alien Romulus. Set between the events of Alien and Aliens, Alien Romulus follows a group of young adults who are desperate to escape their poverty-stricken lives on a mining planet. They soon discover an abandoned outpost just on the outer fringe of the atmosphere of their planet, which may hold the means to their escape and freedom. But after exploring the remnants of this station, shit turns south very quickly, in the form of facehuggers, chestbursters, and the terrifying xenomorph. Back in 1979, Ridley Scott stunned audiences into silence with Alien. The tagline was, "In space, no one can hear you scream." But across cinemas, there was a heck of a lot of screaming. Scott debuted a frightening new monster into cinematic history, and with it, the dawn of a popular franchise. 7 years later, James Cameron took hold of the reins of the franchise and altered his approach to go for a gung-ho, extra machismo action blockbuster. And from then on, the Alien franchise has always found a way to thrill audiences, or in a few cases, turn them off entirely. Ridley Scott himself later revisited the series with his two films Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Prequels that still carried the Alien DNA, but dared to tell a larger story revolving around creationism and how the xenomorphs were an experiment gone awry. Prometheus had its fair share of effective moments, whereas Covenant lacked a goal in the story it was aiming to tell. And thus, audiences felt similarly, because this 3-movie arc that Scott had planned was shelved indefinitely. Enter Fede Álvarez, a director who has a knack for reigniting older horror franchises. In 2013, he was hired by Sam Raimi to direct a reimagining of Evil Dead. Reveling in all of its bloody glory, Álvarez proved to be a warts-and-all director, unafraid to get down and dirty. And Álvarez was always someone who I had an eye on wanting to get their mitts on an Alien movie. I just felt that they were a perfect match together. And thus, my prayers have been answered. I wanted a film that took the claustrophobic thriller aspect of Scott's Alien with the badass blockbuster quality that we saw in James Cameron's Aliens. Side note, by the way, I love Alien. I think it's a seminal sci-fi horror movie classic. Aliens, I thoroughly enjoy. I think it's a tad overrated, but I thoroughly enjoy it still. But for Alien Romulus, I was so deeply keen for an amalgamation of the two. So I went to my local cinema, I went to my IMAX, sat down, the opening logos rolled, and for the next 119 minutes, my fingers were welded to that armrest. Alien Romulus is the Alien movie I have been waiting decades to experience. Fede Álvarez, you wonderfully sick son of a bitch. The first half of Alien Romulus has claustrophobia etched into every single frame. The planet where we meet this crew is covered in ash and fog. There's no source of sunlight whatsoever. And when we make our way up to the Romulus space station itself, we are treated to long, barren corridors, lights flickering. The entire space station is trashed to shit. And what I love is that we get real, practical sets. All of what you see, for the most part, is genuine. VFX was used sparingly, only when they needed it. So when characters are clambering around, hiding behind real parts of a set, it adds to an authenticity. And that makes it a fuck ton scarier. Speaking of practical effects, Álvarez has seemingly walked open arms into the world of puppeteering and practical creature designs. Sure, the facehuggers may look a little dorky in a couple of shots as they scuttle along the floor, but the actors sell the terror. And that's precisely what you need. If they're scared and worried and they convince me of that, likelihood is I'm probably going to be a little nervous too. Not to mention, this film has some of the best sound design I think I've seen all year. You become convinced that these facehuggers may even be scuttling around underneath your chair at any given moment. The xenomorphs are freaking excellent. Adopting Scott's initial tactic of gradually squeezing the trigger on showing the alien rather than firing in one big burst, the small glimpses we see reinforce the monstrous nature of this creature. And once you see it revealed in its entirety, Álvarez reminds you why the alien, why the xenomorph, is one of the most feared villains in all of cinema. And what I also appreciated too, as a fan of this series, is Álvarez utilizes the xenomorph to its full potential, showing all of its facets that can be used as a weapon to present this inescapable situation for our characters. That they can't win. All they can do is survive. We've got facehuggers, chest bursters, its tail, its extendable mouth, even its blood. There is one sequence, one set piece in this film that revolves around alien acid blood. And I'd say that it had me on the edge of my seat, but I think that would be lying. I think I was hovering at some points. I was that on edge. There is also one other creature that the film has done a brilliant job not marketing at all. That is legitimately the stuff of nightmares. I'm not being hyperbolic here, I'm not over-exaggerating myself. I've seen a lot of horror movies in my time, and when people say, do you get scared watching horror films? My usual response is, no, not really, because I watch so many, and a lot of them use the same tactics. It's very hard to scare me now. This freaked me the fuck out. Let's say here is my line for what I can just about handle in a horror movie. Here is where the third act of Alien Romulus came. Very, very close. Squeaky bum time to say the least. But the alien horror and the action wouldn't be half as effective if it wasn't for the characters who populate the film and drive the story forward. And as our lead, as our heroine this time round, you have Cailee Spaeny as Rain. Now, Spaeny is having an absolute corker of a year with this, Priscilla, and Civil War. Her role as Rain, she's a very easy character to root for. She's incredibly badass when needs to be. I'm not going to go so far to say that she is as iconic as an Ellen Ripley, but she does stand head and shoulders above a lot of other horror movie heroines. David Jonsson is also remarkable as Andy, a multifaceted character who goes through quite a journey, and Jonsson is called upon to do a lot in this role, and he does it with ease, making Andy and his bond with Rain really deep, personal, and most importantly, an endearing aspect to an otherwise bleak and dark film. The rest of the crew, it won't surprise you to learn that many of them are somewhat expendable. I mean, someone's got to be lunch for the aliens, right? Some of them are compelling enough that you don't want them to die right away. You like to see them survive for as long as possible, whereas others are deliberately as annoying and detestable so that when their time comes and you want them to perish in the most savage way imaginable, they do. And with Álvarez in charge, I come back to that optimum word, savage. Cards on the table, I was actually a little concerned going into the film because it was given a 15A certificate, and I know what Álvarez is capable of, especially with his Evil Dead film that was an 18 rated film, and it did not skimp on the gore and the blood. And I didn't want to watch a slightly restrained alien film. If it's gonna go swinging for the fences, I want it to take big fucking swings. Alien Romulus is one of the most violent 15 rated movies I think I've ever seen. I don't mean to sound a prude. I'm stunned this was a 15. In my books, this was an 18 all day, every day. There really aren't enough superlatives in the world just to describe how demented and disturbing some of the things that Álvarez plasters across the screen truly are. Speaking of disturbing though, there is a significant use of CGI and I would presume deepfake technology to include a surprise actor reveal in this film that has garnered criticism from both fans and critics of the film alike. Personally, I don't know the ins and outs of how such a thing was greenlit, but what I can say for sure is that it did not look good. I think that there was entirely an opportunity to really take this back to the drawing board and find a way to use the effects to help mask other effects that were nowhere near as strongly developed. All in all, Alien Romulus was the Alien movie I have been wanting to see ever since I became aware of what this franchise was. Fede Álvarez has given audiences a thrilling and chilling cinematic experience that starts out quickly at an 11, and then when shit goes sideways, it does so in spectacular fashion. You'll be white-knuckling it along for some set pieces and wanting to cower behind your hands in others. The practical sets and effects are all tremendous, adding even more to the experience. And our selection of characters may not all be white knights, but you successfully cheer for the ones you want to live. If I were given $80 million and told to direct an Alien movie, this is the film I wish I could come up with. After a few more viewings, and I'm being dead serious here, it may even contend against the original for my favourite of the franchise entirely. I'm going to give Alien Romulus a 9.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Alien Romulus. Let me know, have you had a chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Now my question to you, of all of the movies that we've had so far, and I'm going to include the Alien vs Predator films in there because why not? Someone's got to feel charitable. But what is your favourite Alien movie? But that is all the time we have for today. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button. And if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.